Hey guys, today I'm at the New York Auto Show and I've had a lot of questions about the new Kia EV9 and how it really stacks up against the Kia Telluride. Dimensionally, they are very similar on the outside, but the EV9 has a really nice third row. Let's see how the third row and the second row align. The first thing we're going to need to do here is, of course, hop into the front seat, see how that is positioned. So let's go ahead and get in here. That's a pretty comfortable and reasonable position. You can see I have a decent amount of space between my legs and the dashboard. And the seat is not overly upright back there. Let's hop in the second row, see how this goes. First thing you'll notice back here is we get a pretty upright position, pretty tall roof, and a powered second row seat in this top end trim, or more or less top end, I should say. The seat bottom cushion actually has a tilt function, which is kind of cool. We also have a powered ottoman, so definitely a very luxurious seat. Arguably more luxurious than even some luxury segment 3-row crossovers like the Volvo EX90. Now this seat is pretty slow. If you want to move this faster, you're probably going to want to wait to see what the manual seat options are going to be like in the EV9. But back here in the third row, you can see that this seat is still in its default position. Not a lot of legroom going on here, but massive amounts of headroom. Back up here, you'll notice even if I move actually to this outboard seat position, I have about 2 inches of headroom left. Very, very square back here. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like moving this second row seat back into place. Right like that. Again, slow moving mechanism. I'm going to actually have to move my legs out of the way. Bear in mind that the EV9 is going to be 6-passenger or 7-passenger only, but we do have latch anchors for both rear seating positions, something that I was surprised about, and the rear seats do offer some recline. There's a little piece of webbing there, and you can put them in a shockingly reclined position, and I still have lots and lots of headroom. Now on the downside, this is not an 8-passenger vehicle, so even though it kind of looks like there might be room in the middle for another passenger here in the third row, only 2 seat belts. Now over here in the Telluride, still plenty of legroom going on in the second row. I will just move over here to this side so that we can see a little bit more easily. Plenty of legroom there. If I move this seat forward to about the same position as the EV9, so maybe about 3-4 inches of legroom there, and a similar seat back angle, pretty comfy. Let's notice what is going on in the back seat. First thing, of course, second row seats move way faster. Here, my butt is actually a little bit closer to the ground. As far as thigh support and knees in the chest, the EV9 is actually better than this, something that I had not expected, but legroom is actually a bit more generous in this. You'll notice that the floor is very flat in that EV9, something that we don't see here. This section of the floor is actually about 4 inches higher off the ground than the floor in front of the second row seats, and that's why I definitely have this knees up in the air thing going on. And I can't actually put my head back there to the headrest. If I'm sitting in a more natural position, I have about 1 inch of headroom, about half of what we find in that EV9, but this section right back here is closer to my head than we find in the EV9. That's the hinge area for that hatch that really does cut down on the room. But there is an 8th seat in here, or well, I should say a 7th seat in this particular format, so there is a middle seat belt. Ever since Kia launched the Telluride, it has had one of the best third rows available in a modern crossover. But there's a new sheriff in town, and that sheriff's name is EV9, because as good as the third row is in the Telluride, the EV9's is quite simply better. You will definitely notice the difference when you sit in the back. Headroom is better in the EV9. Legroom, it's difficult to tell because, of course, the front row and second row slide forward and backward in both vehicles. But the seat bottom cushion is not slammed all the way to the ground as it is in the Telluride. Remember that if we come over to the side of the Telluride here, you'll notice that the wheelbase is much longer in the EV9. The rear wheel in the EV9 has been pushed further rearward. That means it's not impacting the third row quite as much. And without the traditional all-wheel drive drivetrain in the EV9, this entire floor pan area is lower. And again, you'll notice that inside. As with most 3-row crossovers, you'll notice that in the Telluride, the floor pan for the front and second rows is down here, and then it's about 4 inches higher as it goes up under the second row seats back there for the third row. Here in the EV9, it's a completely flat floor all the way to the back until you actually get to the third row seats, where it ramps up a little bit for the cargo area. Even though this model doesn't have its battery currently plugged in, so I can't move this seat, that means that legroom is considerably better as far as we're talking about vertical legroom in the third row. Those final numbers we have to wait to see, but for the moment, EV9 wins this race handily. If you're interested in one, these are going to be on sale late 2023. Production in the United States is going to ramp up in 2024 at some time, so this may qualify for some portion of the federal tax credit eventually. Let me know what you think about that down there in the comment section, and check out both of these at your Kia dealer coming soon.
I'm the internet's Mike Amusio.
Oh, okay. The internets. You belong to the internets?
I do. I belong to the ages technically,
Okay,
but I
okay.
dabble with
I belong to
internets.
the tubes. I'm on the
What's happening with
tubes.
this light here? We gotta